Continuing the momentum from this morning, please welcome to the stage Dr. Glen Diehl, the Acting Deputy Director for the Defense Health Agency.
All right, it's a pleasure for me to be here this morning, and on behalf of Dr. Smith, who unfortunately could not be here today. He is actually on travel. He's coming back from Europe, and we're certainly looking forward to having him back home at the Defense Health Agency. I want to start today with, I keep hearing Pat Flanders, who I love. I keep hearing aisle 5, and all I can think of is the squeegee guy at the supermarket running down, clean up on aisle 5. He says itsy, I think itsy bitsy spider. So just Pat, and he's going to come up here with me in a little bit. So I appreciate him and everything his team has done. I also wanted just to say to Mr. Hines, 35 years dedicated to the mission, our mission. That is, I don't think you can measure the value of what he has meant to us. So, Mr. Hines, I'd like you to stand, and I would like us to give him a round of applause. I think simply, as an organization, we would not be where we are today without Mr. Hines. And I'm a pretty simple guy, and he's one of the people that he comes in and I don't understand anything he says, which is okay. It happens with a lot of people, and we end up doing whiteboarding, which I'll talk about in a little bit. At the DHA, we now have on board a line officer, Major General Tim Brennan. I'm happy that he is a new teammate of ours, and he's there primarily as we think about the fight for tomorrow. He is there to help us get ready for whatever that fight is going to be. In fact, I was texting with him this morning, and every meeting you're in with Major General Brennan, he will start with a number. And that number today is 738. Anybody know what that 738 represents? Everybody out there know what it is? Because it's vitally important to what we do in the Defense Health Agency as a combat support agency. All right, and that 738 represents the days when China will be capable of invading Taiwan. Okay, and that is what we are, why we're in uniform, why we're civilians supporting the mission. 738. So General Brennan, who's not here today, every meeting we go into, he starts the meeting with that. So things I know, so the way this is going to flow is, I have a prepared speech, and I'll get to that, but I'll riff a little bit here if you just let me. Things I know that what the future is going to look like. I know that things will not be perfect. I know that there's no such thing as perfect information. I know that things will fail, and I know that things will go wrong. So why am I telling you that? Well, I'm telling you that because when I was assigned with a guy named General John Kelly with one MEF, but before that, when he was a commandant's aide, he would often say, it's not about success when everything is going right, it's about success when things go wrong. Improvise, adapt, overcome, and that's where we really will be fully achievable. And because we know, right, that things are not going to be perfect. Okay? So I would challenge all the senior leaders in this room to look around. So it's those E4s, E5s, it's those non-commissioned officers, it's those junior officers that are going to lead this organization into the future that we need to grow so that they can, adapt, improvise, and overcome. Those are out there. We need them to be at their best, because what do we think is going to happen if the balloon goes up? Things are going to go wrong. And we need to be prepared. So for those senior leaders that are out there, teach, mentor, train, teach those things. Give them the discretion they need, the agility they need to make good decisions, and give them the ability to use their own ingenuity to solve problems. Critical thinking, I think it's a must. I'm going to just quote something because it's one of my favorite quotes. Operationally, I was on the USS Theodore Roosevelt. So this is a quote from Teddy Roosevelt. It's not gonna be an exact quote because the quote's pretty long, but it's one of my favorites. It's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man or woman who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Okay, I say that again because we succeed if we break things, we fail, we take a risk, we overcome, adapt, improvise, and overcome. For those junior officers, if you have one thing, for those NCOs, please use your ability to think, critically think problems, because the battlefield of tomorrow is, we don't know. We can't anticipate what's going to happen, but what we can anticipate is your own ingenuity and your ability to overcome, shape things, shape the space. Okay. All right. One of the things also, as I came over to DHA, one of the things I am dedicated is to leaning forward. I'm an ex-hockey player, right? And one of the things they teach you in hockey is to fall. I'm okay falling. You know why? Because especially on skates, if you can't get back up on your skates, it's the first thing they teach you, right? If you can't fall and you can't get back up on your skates, are you going to be a good hockey player? No, you're not. So falling is okay. But I would just say fall forward. There's a famous Denzel Washington speech. If you haven't heard it before, I'd encourage you to listen to it. It's about falling forward. It's a graduation speech he gave at the University of Pennsylvania. It's a very inspiring speech about his life, his work, and the fact that he embraced failure through different things in his life. As those obstacles came up, he embraced them and he overcame, okay? So at the DHA, fall forward, lean in, be proactive. For all of those in the Defense Health Agency, as you see problems arise, you see what's coming down the pike, lean in, fall forward, be proactive. Okay. Another thing I keep hearing my background is in, I am not an MD, I'm a PhD. So when I hear entropy, I think of measures of disorder, Pat. So I think of randomness, and instability of systems. So I know there's a program out there on entropy, but that's where my mind goes, which is probably not a good place. Okay, so I'll start my comments. It's nice for me to be here at DHITS. I've never been to the conference. I've long wanted to come, but I guess I've been not worthy of, But I'm here this time, so I'm happy to be here with you. You heard this morning from Dr. Farrar some of the things that he's outlined and where the military health system in general is going. The leadership of the department is clear that our mission is to be ready to fight tonight. And being ready means that leaders have access to accurate, timely information to make decisions. It's true for every information system that the department manages and absolutely necessary for medical and health decision making. Now, selfishly, my interest in starting a discussion with you, and your job is to ask the questions. I'm not here as a subject matter expert, I think, as you all know now. That's all for you in the audience, and we depend on you. And one of the things I have embraced since I've come over to the Defense Health Agency is it is truly, as an organization, about partnership. We cannot do anything without partners. And let me just tell you about that a little bit. I'll go into it when I get back to this. But it's about the services have a vital role in the military health system. Okay, DHA does not stand alone. DHA relies on interlocking pieces, and the services are our partner. The Uniformed Services University is our partner. They educate and train. The joint staff, the combatant commands, the service components are our partners. We live in a symbiotic relationship. And for me, I always thought about the sea anemone and the clownfish, because that, to me, I was always the clownfish in that analogy, so I could remember it. But for us, we are a symbiosis, okay? So we have to work as partners. So by being here today, I think it speaks volumes of what you all feel about our mission. Your service here is a testament to have you chosen to spend your time. And remember about time, if you think about where you spend your time, you think about your passions and those who love. And if you're not spending that time wisely, please reevaluate what you're doing. But your commitment here today, your commitment to excellence, your perseverance in an ever-changing and challenging field, and above all, your service to the public and country. And I thank all of you for being here and doing the things frankly, I don't understand on a day-to-day basis. So a little bit about my background. In my background, I don't want to bore you with a lot of personal history because what I really want to do is get to be a more interactive. As a Navy officer, I had some very incredible experiences to serve on 2 aircraft carriers and be signed with the Marine Corps. To me, it was all about, and I'm sure many of my compatriots out there, it is about service, and it is about serving those service members that go in harm's way. I had the opportunity to do that, and I saw it from a very operational lens, and it was my ability. For me, it was really the Navy allowed me to have experiences so I could understand how to take care of people. And I really appreciate whether I was assigned with the Line Navy in a military treatment facility or the Marine Corps, always taking care of our people. I worked in the global health arena, proud to stand up the Center for Global Health Engagement that is now at the Uniformed Service University. That is now morphing into another new center that's going to be global health engagement facing, as well as national disaster medical system facing. So I think that's I think that will be a great investment as they look forward to the future. But what that taught me was it provided me an incredible opportunity to work with our allies and partner nations in helping support readiness and to reduce risk from a whole host of diseases that our forces might face while deployed. But also just being able to reach over the table, shake hands, and let people know that we are all in this together, one team, one fight. Because where we will not be, and a lot of times our allies and partner nations will be. And it's incredibly important to foster those relationships. So before the booze start, I've spent time as a professional staff member on the House Armed Services Committee. I've served in a bipartisan manner. And my first job on the House Armed Services Committee in my portfolio was the military health system. As I grew on the committee, I was a military personnel staff lead, and then as I ended my time there, I was the subcommittee staff director for overall personnel policy and programs. And in that role, and as I grew in that role, I began to get these inquiries and working with leadership, with the speaker's office and things like that. And so my lens on that, it was always, if you don't know, that ended up being, hey, how do we whip votes? And if you never worked on the Hill, whipping votes is you're trying to get people to understand your position, especially on difficult votes, right? So those would provide me the opportunity to go into a member's office who was generally opposed to whatever we were going to vote on, because I wouldn't be spending time on somebody that's going to vote with us. And that gave me what I call an opportunity to excel. And for those that know me, know I like to use that term a lot. There's opportunities to excel, challenges, but there's not problems. There's opportunities to excel. But I would go in and talk to these members and try to succinctly figure out how we could change their vote. So that provided me a great opportunity to understand that things happen on a local basis, right? All politics are local, but in the military health system, I think that too. In the military treatment facilities, on our installations, at sea, in the air, and with our units, things are local, and we always have to remember those that are embedded with those units and those that are going wherever they are in the world. And the unique thing about the military health system is, guess what? We are a system across the world, and that is a really cool thing. When I was on the Hill from 2017 to 2023. So a lot of, some people call transformative legislation, and you can ask me about that. I own some of that, and so if there's barbs that come, please send them my way. But one of the things that is germane to this audience is some of the forward thinking that we heard is on digital health strategy. So we wrote that in the bill, that the military health system has to have a digital health strategy. And why was that important? Well, it was important for a variety of reasons. One, because we saw what was going on in the private healthcare market. We also saw what the VA was doing. We also saw what our academic partners and others were doing, right? And so we wrote that into law to require digital health strategy, to hopefully be on the leading edge of artificial intelligence, and that has really blossomed. Not for anything that we wrote into law, but because it was embraced by the people in the department that actually made it happen. And as an aside, for those of you who think it's challenging to hammer out agreements among OSD, DHA, the services, we have these governance structures. I would just say I had 435 partners in the House of Representatives to work with on a daily basis who didn't always agree on things, but again, provided me a great opportunity to excel. I'll come back to that in a couple of minutes. I left the Hill and then I went over to be the Vice President for External Affairs at the Uniformed Services University, where again, the idea was looking for partnerships with academic or even private entities to try to bring back training and education to the military health system. And then lo and behold, in April, I arrived at the Defense Health Agency. And so today on the podium, I'm bringing all 5 months of my experience with me. But one of the things that I have have been very fortunate in is being able to work with some of the best people you will find, not only in our health system, but across any health system. And I'm very fortunate they teach me and I learn on a daily basis with this group of individuals. So now I'll dive into this a little bit about stakeholders. I come from a deep awareness that we don't operate in a bubble, and that there are more people outside of the healthcare community who have a big say in how systems operate. Naturally, our line leaders, our political leaders, they don't have time to become healthcare policy experts or healthcare IT experts. That's why they rely on us to provide that for them. They do want us to be able to draw a straight line from their mission to how we support them, which is critical to making sure we understand what our value is. In the legislative branch, it's not just our elected members who are our stakeholders, military and veteran service organizations who come to visit regularly, and they would come to visit regularly. In the vendor community, or previously known as the Defense Industrial Base, everyone from large international corporations to family-owned run pharmacies in North Dakota, or pick any state, service-disabled, veteran-owned small businesses helping provide staff support for IT concepts and structures. The White House would frequently call congressional staff, so we would love to take those calls. Opportunity to excel, especially if you were in the majority and the White House called. That would really provide you an opportunity to excel. As well as we would deal with cabinet level staffers, cabinet departments, and of course the agencies they oversee. And I remember one specific piece of legislation, not necessarily germane to this audience, but when I first got to the Hill, it was on emergency use authority. We were having with the FDA. We were having a little bit of a challenge getting emergency use authority over the finish line. And it was for something called freeze-dried plasma. I won't tell you the whole story, but one thing it did remind me is that sometimes, or frequently in the personnel portfolio, the personnel things can bring down the National Defense Authorization Act, which I was told. And the chairman of the committee at the time said, well, just get the FDA commissioner on the phone. Just get him on the phone. We'll make it happen. I was like, and I looked at him and was like, Mr. Chairman, you want me just to call him? It's like, oh, just call him and tell him we need this. Okay. All right, so we did, but the funny story, moral of that story is we did get him on the phone. He did realize that I think we needed to work together, we needed to partner. And then I also, in my lineage, when I was, part of my lineage is also as in the Navy as a legislative liaison. And I will just say, I became paired with Senator John McCain. I saw him in a meeting one time. I was standing outside of a hearing room. Senator McCain saw me. He comes out of the meeting room. He goes, there's reporters behind. He's like, walk with me. And I'm like, I did not know Senator McCain. Walk with me. And I was like, okay. So he goes, I don't care what you say to me. We're talking. And I'm like, okay. So if anybody that knows Senator McCain, he has a very fast gait. So we ramble down, we get into his office. He looks at me, he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm here. He's like, get out. That blossomed into, I love Senator, so those were signs of love for Senator McCain. So where I did go with that was we began traveling together. He had a name for me that I will not regale you with here when I first came to know him. But he did teach me a number of things. And one thing, he goes, in a meeting, always understand who is in the meeting. He goes, I don't care how minor the role is, because that's how you get agreement, and that's how you get a vote. And I've always remembered that. And I'm dedicated to, I'm a product of him to some sort. He sits on my shoulders some days. And I would just say, I still remember the first time we met and ambling down the hall with him to traveling, have been fortunate. Again, the Navy provided me this opportunity to be able to see things through his lens a little bit, and provided me just that opportunity to think of the meaning of our partners. Okay, laws and policies get made by listening closely to a lot of people who approach a problem from a lot of different perspectives, as leaders, as providers, as suppliers, as patients, as citizens, and of course, as voters. There's rarely one right answer to a problem, and as the old saying goes, where you stand on the issue depends on where you sit. Now, sometimes what the public sees can seem like theater and public performance, and sure, some of that, it is what it is, but the day-to-day work, there also involves a lot of listening and a good deal of compromising, and the understanding that law is not static. Law does evolve. If there's good reason to change it, we come back at things the next year and make it better. And for anybody that's out there and was in the DHA from 2017 to 2023, if you received a request for information from PSM Glen Diehl, I'm sorry, because I sent a lot of them out there, but thank you. I appreciate your timely response. And at the time, you knew I was from Congress and that I'm here to help, so you always had that in your back pocket. Within DoD, I certainly see things with a similar approach, especially when it comes to modernizing our military health system. So I'm going to transition now to some of the things that Dr. Farrar said, which I think are very germane to this audience. Accelerate the adoption of artificial intelligence. That is just critical to where we need to go as a system. Standardize and integrate data. Ones and zeros. I'm a math econometrics guy, so ones and zeros have a personal, they're close to my heart. But ones and zeros, like people, ones and zeros do not stand alone. They are the foundation of a good data architecture, because when they are put together, they're stronger together when they're alone, right? And what you all do is about the ones and zeros, which I appreciate. And then improving interoperability. Unfortunately, we don't have unlimited resources. We've got to put in people and investments in areas that produce the greatest return on readiness. And we must be ready to support the combatant commands, and particularly in the Indo-Pacific. And I go back to 738 days. One priority that department is setting to invest in those MTFs that are core to our readiness. We're actually in September, we're going to have core readiness training. We're going to bring in those MTF leaders, those our DHN, FOGOs, our SES partners to do core training. And the idea is to focus on where we need people, where we need people to get the right skills at the right time to support our service members. That has impacts certainly to our health IT systems and structures. We have to attract patients to choose us. We don't get to compel them. That means modern systems that are easy for patients and staff alike. We also want to attract new populations, veterans and TRICARE for Life beneficiaries. That means producing bills, certainly third-party collections, in a timely manner and getting reimbursed appropriately for the care that we deliver. Right now, we are leaving money on the table, and we need to fix that as soon as possible in order to get value from our more complex cases. That also means investing in our combat support capabilities, in public health, medical surveillance, blood collection. Yes, General Solis, if you're out there, I did say blood collection and distribution. If you don't know General Solis, just like General Brennan, 738 days, General Solis will tell me every day it is about blood and why blood is important. That's why I love him. It is about getting blood to our warfighters. This also has implications for every medical facility in our inventory. We will rely even more on our communities and on the private sector. That means our health information capabilities are even more important. Investments in health exchanges are not a nice to have, they are essential readiness requirement in the event of large-scale combat operations. There is a great deal of interagency attention on bolstering the national disaster medical system, and the exchanges are central to effective public-private collaboration in the event of a major disaster or conflict. My third point is modernizing the MHS Genesis and everything that surrounds it. Is about having the right people in the right place. We need to fix long-term dissatisfiers and get after a long-term pathway that is sensitive to our mission. We need to be able to separate real opportunity from hype. We need to invest in opportunities that produce real improvements in patient outcomes and staff retention. Yes, those are big tasks. And what gives me confidence is the people we have in leadership roles right now. All right, now I'm going back to people. It's always dangerous to name names out of fear of leaving someone out. So please, if I do leave you out, I have a simple brain, so my apologies. So just take that up front. But there are people here this week that are some of the most knowledgeable and capable people, most passionate people about what they do. And I do want to call them out because they deserve it, and they're the leaders in their own right. You already heard from Pat Flanders. I also refer to him as the godfather of DHITS. Pat is someone who combines excellence and strategy with attention to detail and execution. Pat understands how to separate current capabilities in the private sector that are real and needed. From the vaporware ideas that aren't ready for prime time, he has a unique talent for the agency. And oh, by the way, I hear he does a great Dolly Parton impersonation of 9 to 5, he might be singing tonight for those that are at the bar. So Pat, round of applause for Pat. If you want to come up and give us a little 9 to 5, we'd be happy to listen to it. One of the first things, I tasked Pat with, we were in my office, and I don't understand digital things really well. Again, lowest common denominator right here. I formed this thing called the DOG, the Digital Optimization Group, because I could remember that. And Pat was one of the initial founders of the DOG. And I said, okay, explain to me how we work in this digital cloud. So he makes this, I said, no, he's right. I was like, no, go up to the whiteboard and just write down. So he starts writing this thing. He goes, it's about bakers in the kitchen. And I don't know how he did it, but he used bakers in the kitchen for me to understand the data pool. So Pat, my hat's off to you for being able to make me understand data just a little bit about data architecture. So thank you. Another person of this DOG group that is one of the most humble and passionate leaders that I know is Kathy Burst. Kathy Burst, I would like everybody to give Kathy a round of applause because Kathy, she deserves it. All right, if you know Kathy Burst, all right, she is our leader in acquisition and support functions. For those who don't know Kathy, she knows how to get to yes. And for everybody, I saw her at MHSRS and just said, come with me. I said, okay, Kathy, I'll come with you. Just listen, which is good for me when I don't have to speak. So just come listen. Okay, came listen. And it was to a capability. I won't go in because it gets into a specific capability that we're going to say. And her ability to be able to get to the meat of a problem and to be able to understand where that needs to go succinctly and figure out a way forward is just amazing. If you have not had the ability to work with her, please go to her. She's also cares deeply about the acquisition workforce. In fact, I think that's really one of her pride and joys. She has Herculean tasks at the Defense Health Agency. And one of the things when I came over, we started talking about this concept called night court. Because the idea was we need to save money. We need to aggressively look at ourselves before we are going to ask anybody else to share money. And we wanted to, for lack of a better term, doge ourselves before Doge came over and gave us an opportunity to excel. So what we figured is we would look at ourselves, and Kathy and her team in ADS, in our acquisition, development, and support systems at DHA, set up the structure for us to be able to do that. We pulled our senior leaders together and went through hundreds of contracts, in about a 4-day symposium, and we saved, I think in that, and I'm going to get that figure wrong, I think over $68 million. Okay, that's $68 million. It may not seem like a lot. But if you think about that $68 million, what can we now use? That $68 million we can use to the priorities of the Joint Staff, the combatant commands, the service components that are out there at the tip of the spear. We can use it to improve the systems that we are talking about right now. And that does not happen with Kathy and her team. So Kathy, again, thank you. I want to also thank Dr. Yvette Weber and the PHO DIMS team. They do a fantastic job trying to get to yes with the capabilities. I really appreciate what they do. And they, again, trying to understand what the requirements are. They have a very difficult task. So Dr. Weber, we thank you as well. Thank you. I also want to say something about the panel that is about to come up, and trust me, you want to get me off the stage. Admiral Tracy Farrell, Dr. Jesus Caban, and Colonel Tara Connor. People who understand deeply and great experience understand healthcare delivery, who understand the needs of our people at the deck plate because they've been there and they respect the work that our people do in the field, and they have done. With Admiral Farrell, we've been fortunate to have her on loan from the Public Health Service and as our functional champion. She's no stranger to the needs of the deployed, having been years in public health service and been overseas on a number of occasions to include deploying to Liberia in support of the Ebola response from the U.S. government. So Tracy, thank you. But before you give her a round of applause, it's also Tracy's birthday. So let's really give her a round of applause. Happy birthday. If you see her around, please tell her happy birthday. I asked her how many candles were going to go on her cake, and I didn't understand if I clearly understood what was coming back at me, but I'm sure I'll get that later. I'm sure I will get that later. Dr. Caban, again, this is about people, and people are what make our organization special. Dr. Jesus Caban is one of them. He spent 11 years at Walter Reed and with the National Intrepid Center of Excellence, someone who was out on the leading edge over a decade ago to identify ways that machine learning could help us with treating those with traumatic brain injury. As his reputation grew, so did demand for his time and talent. But I have to say that in addition to his immense intellect, he's simply one of the nicest and most positive people you'll ever meet. You don't always get those two qualities together, intellect and kindness, but we've got it, certainly have it with Jesus. And I really, when it comes to data architecture and the things that Jesus does, he's one of the best partnership builders that I know. So Jesus, wherever you are, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. I'm almost done, okay? Colonel Tara Connor, our Chief Health Informaticist. Colonel Connor was here at the Defense Health Agency earlier in her career and is just a fantastic staff officer. She went back to the field and led efforts to the San Antonio community, to improve the San Antonio community. And now we are fortunate to have her back up here as such an important advocate for what our people in the field really need. So Colonel Connor, wherever you are, thank you. Give her a round of applause. Okay, before I start taking questions, I also want to mention someone that recently left the Defense Health Agency, Dr. Julie Freeman. She supported me and others in the agency on guiding the digital front door implementation. She was a part of a small team I was lucky to have advisoring for a very short time. But I know for certainly Dr. Mike Malinowski, who was the former deputy, she was a critical advocate. And she helped me certainly in the short time she was there with me on how we set priorities and metrics. So certainly, Dr. Freeman, I know you're not here, but we thank you for your efforts. I'll end with this. The stakes are high, 738 days, as I mentioned. Stakes are incredibly high in the mission we are tasked to support. In the last year, our military forces have been engaged in real-world events that we truly need to be ready to move out on at a moment's notice. In the Middle East, in Yemen, in Iran, our ongoing tensions in the Pacific, wherever they are, you can assure the United States military is there. As we closely watch the competition and innovation in healthcare in the United States, we need to continue to pay attention even more closely to innovation among our enemies abroad. You are the people entrusted to protect our service members, serve their families, support our healthcare professionals. Our digital capabilities need to get even better, and at the same time, ensure we are not lax in providing for our own operational security. You are the people who will lead that change. People like me, trust me, are here to support you in achieving that mission. So use this week to challenge all of us. Ask questions that make you more ready to go back to your MTFs or support organizations to make us move forward with this transformation. Ask hard questions, critically think. Help us all understand what we are missing. As promised, I'm hoping for a discussion about what I covered and any other topics you want to inquire about. Thank you for being here, and I thank all of you for what you do for our men and women who are deployed and out in our military treatments on a daily basis. Thank you.
All right, so you ready? Thank you, Dr. Diehl. We'll have about 5 or 6 minutes for some questions, so please, again, the mics are on the left and right side. I have one queued up and ready for you, though, sir. Dr. Diehl, given your unique background spanning economics, academic medicine, congressional oversight, and global health engagement, how do you envision the DHA balancing fiscal responsibility to accelerate innovation with global readiness?
Okay, how do we... I would say that, again, for me, it goes back to, I don't think I heard the question completely. It goes back to people and where do we think that the DHA has an ability to be able to excel. It's about the people that are out there. I'm sorry, I did not hear the question completely. So
I can go back to it, sir. So the long and short of it is, how do you envision the DHA balancing fiscal responsibility to accelerate innovation with global readiness?
Oh, okay. All right. Again, it's about the people, like as I said, but it's our combat support agency responsibilities, and it's about partnership with the combatant commands, the joint staff. It is about getting after this, understanding what capabilities that the Defense Health Agency can bring to the table. And I think, and we do have the right people to be able to do that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I have one more.
Sure.
One more. Given your experience, what lessons learned could shape DHA's strategy to be sustainable but also globally interoperable?
Okay, well, based on my experiences, I think it's again, it goes back to understanding what the requirement is and the capabilities that the Defense Health Agency can bring to the table. And that is all about those people that are out there doing the great things that they do on a daily basis, and us being able to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And I think we have a fantastic team that does that on a daily basis. And I know that we have opportunities, what we call opportunities to excel. And I think our ability to embrace problems and challenges as a team, and that will lead us, I think with the team that we have, I think that will lead us to be able to overcome almost anything that's out there.